Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a while, hasn't it? So, thought I'd bring you up to speed on what's happening. So, I've mentioned a couple of times there's been a few things going off at home, in my personal life. So, my sister has been unwell for quite some time. She had cancer a few years ago, and last year she started getting lots of problems, lots of issues, and the dots were not getting connected. To cut a long story short, it's made a resurgence, only it's a lot worse now. She's actually stage 4, and literally in the last, she's been in hospital now for 7 or 8 weeks, but in the last sort of 3 weeks, things have gone downhill quite a lot. And it's just been a really hard couple of months, really, the last couple of months. It's a form of lymphoma, what she's got, and they need to get some chemo into her, but they've not been able to, because every time they have to keep making sure she's strong enough to take the chemo. So she's been having multiple things going into her body all day long. Antibiotics, blood transfusions, plasma, other fluids. Certain levels were down that needed to be topped up. So they were doing a fantastic job. They've kept on top of all that. You've got to topped up, and then she'd have a good day, but then she'd have a bad day where she's really struggling to breathe. And she's got infections on her lungs, and these infections have been getting worse, and they've been going downhill quite a lot to where she was really struggling to breathe. And it got to the point a few nights ago where there was nothing more they could do. And she needed to go into ICU, but ICU said they'd looked at everything and said there's no point bringing her here because we can't do any more. And it was at the point, it was a very dark night. Where basically they said it's all down to her now. It's all down to her. And she's got to pull through. But literally the doctors couldn't do any more. Now, because she'd been downhill for a few days before that, we'd had no conversations with her. She was zoned out on loads of medicine and just sat there. Anyway, that night I actually prayed. And lo and behold, the next morning, about 7:30, she FaceTimed us. She FaceTimed us. You know, she'd got oxygen mask on, but she FaceTimed us and she was saying, yeah, we had a bit of a scare. And so that's been that. But then she went downhill again massively. And again, it's been a few days of really touch and go. And then it got to a point where they said, we need to do an operation. We've got to operate on your sister. And she was conscious at the time, and basically the doctors explained everything to her, all the ups and downs and what could go wrong and everything. And she might wake up with a breathing tube down her mouth. They need to go in and cut things away on the lungs. And straight away, she said, do it, do it, do it. She's very upbeat, is my sister. So she had the operation. Now I only found out that when she went down, they took all the medicine and all the stuff that was feeding her out in preparation for the operation, and she had a cardiac arrest. Anyway, they sorted that. She had the operation, she pulled through, which was amazing, because the odds were not good. So we're currently at the stage where what the doctors want is her to get strong enough now for chemo, which they want to start next week. But they withdrew the breathing tube 1 or 2 days ago, but then all of her statistics dropped, so they basically had to put the tube back in. They've left her a day and a half, zoned out, morphined up, tableted up, and she's just been breathing on this tube. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So it's just a waiting game now. Hopefully we're going to hear at some point today from my brother-in-law, who's been there day and night. Well, not night, but he's there at opening and stays until they kick him out. We're just waiting on updates from him, because at the moment there's not a lot happening throughout the day. It's just waiting for things to improve, and the doctors say so. So I'm sorry I've got a bit emotional. Anyway, that's that. Now, when I turned 50, February last year, something inside my head clicked a bit. And I started thinking more and more about my health. In fact, it's sort of been growing over the last few years, thinking more about my health and the fact that I'm working in fertiliser, weed killer, herbicides, fungicides, and I know you can do things to minimise, the proper PPE and things like that. That's why in quite a few videos you've seen me wearing a face mask. And I always wear gloves 99% of the time now when I'm using fertiliser. Believe it or not, right, about, 25 years ago when I was working for one of the main lawn care franchises, a guy came up to me, a customer. It was one of their customers. And even then, I remember all these things. Even then, he said to me, always wear your gloves. Always wear your gloves. He says, because that stuff causes cancer. Okay? So, I didn't take much notice of him. I didn't take much notice of him at all. Because you're younger. You're invincible, aren't you? But over the last 5 years, I would say at least, I've been thinking more about my health. I would say 6 or 7 years ago, I was about 5 stone, nearly, lighter. I'd lost a lot of weight when my marriage ended 12 years ago, and I joined a gym and I lost 5 stone, and I was right happy. But you know, you get into a routine, don't you, and then you just go back into old eating habits, and I stopped going to the gym. So, yeah, I'm aware that I am around fertiliser and weed killer a lot more than you guys. You guys might put something on your own lawn once a month, twice a month, something like that. But I'm putting something onto lawns between 10 and 20 times a day. You know, 5-6 days a week, which is a lot, and it increases your risk, you know, of all sorts of things, isn't it? So you've got to be really careful around these things. And I've been thinking off and on a lot more the last 5 years about what I want to do with my life. Now, I know we're all getting older, and as we get older, your risk of various diseases increases. But I am aware of all the risks that we are exposed to, and I've been thinking a lot about what I can do in my life. One part of me is all about like holistic, and I've grown and gained quite a strong feeling that food is nutrition, and switching to, you know, unprocessed foods, mostly plant-based, is a pretty good way to go. But it is hard. It's hard to switch. But I have incorporated a lot of that over the last 5 years. You know, I don't have dairy milk. I switched from dairy milk 4 years ago, and I use plant-based milk, which I've used now for 4 years. Completely on with that. I've started doing a lot of juicing. All that. Just trying to eat better. So that's that. That's one approach. Now, I do believe that a lot of that could help you and protect you. And also, I'm thinking I'd like to go fully organic in the lawn care route. But it's a big field and there's a lot to learn, and it's not foolproof, especially with weeds, other than getting a really thick, dense lawn which you mow regular to prevent weeds from coming in. So that's that approach. And then, because running a business is very hard, it can be hard, it can be stressful, definitely stressful, and it eats up all of your time, I started thinking maybe I could do something else. Now, I built my business up over years and years and years and years and years. And to just throw that away would be very irresponsible. You know, we've built it to a point where our business, where we treat people's lawns, is good. It provides a good income most of the year, other than snow. And, you know, it's well established. We've got, I think it's about 550 customers. And every single one of those customers, I've been to their house. And we've actually, it's probably more like 1,500 customers, but you always lose a few every single year. So it might be 1,000 customers what I've been to and signed up over the years. But the point is, it'd be stupid to throw that away, a business that I built up that produces good income. But it would also be stupid to just blatantly handle fertiliser without taking precautions. Same with the weed killer and things like that. So, if I could create the ultimate organic approach, that would be good. If I could go full-time or semi-full-time on YouTube and reduce the number of customers at home, then I'm not exposing myself to these chemicals as much. I'm sorry if the camera's shaking. I'm doing that on my laptop, and I'm sat in the back of my van, and it's absolutely freezing. My son's playing football, so I'm sat in the car park. And in terms of the other approach of doing something completely different, I have started something, and it's all about travel, van life. At the minute I'm sat in my family van and I'm trying to convert this van. I've taken all the roof off and the panels at the side, and I'm in the middle of trying to convert it with some insulation and stuff like that, and doing some videos and starting a channel, which I have done, and it is starting to grow. But I have no experience in any of that. But it does give me a lot more of a chilled lifestyle, because stress is a big influence, isn't it, in your health? So being more laid back, more relaxed, travelling, being able to go to a beach, being able to park in your van, sleep in your van, wake up and look at the beach, look out across a nice view, it's quite appealing. But, you know, when it's something you know very little about, these things take longer, but they would be worthwhile. And I dare say that could become a full-time thing later on in life. But then you have days where you think, actually, you're being a bit silly. It's a bit of a midlife crisis, which I think it is, because I've been doing some right funny things these last year. Maybe a bit of a midlife crisis. But I think sensibly is to look at the skills I've got and think what I can do. And I do think I have got a lot to give to you guys. The fact that you've supported me by watching my videos means a lot. It generates a bit of a side income, which is brilliant. So I'm going to carry on doing this, but I am looking into ways to make it better for your health. But then we have these chemicals. We work outdoors. We're not inhaling it as much as we think we are, because we're outdoors. We're not in a closed-in space. And I wear gloves, and I will wear a mask when I'm spraying the weed killer. Not as much as I should, but I do. So I guess in this video I'm just sounding off. I just wanted to offload, really, I think. Offload how I'm feeling, what's going off in my life. And when you work for yourself, you still got to work, so you've still got to think about work, despite whatever's happening in your personal life. I can't just take time off and tend to other things. So anyway, that's where I'm at. So I still want to do things, and I'm still going to do things. Everything's going to be the same. So I'm going to bring you more content like this. Not like this, but more content like what you're used to seeing. And we'll just take it from there. But in the background, just be aware that I've got to think what's best. Really, it would be good to go, I guess, more full time, so I'm not handling the chemicals as much. And I guess I could potentially do that now. But yeah, people's interest in lawn care does drop off quite a bit over winter, and that tends to affect your income on YouTube, unless you can come up with other things. So that's where I'm at. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you, and we'll see you on the next video. There's things I want to do. I will be reseeding the lawn once temperatures pick up. So we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care, and let's get a nice lawn this year.